Hey everyone, it's Tammy Warner with Aortic Hope. I haven't been here in a hot minute, so I'm happy to be back. Um, Before I begin, please make sure that you like and share and subscribe to us because we want to reach as many people as possible to share our information. So please do that for us. So let's start with Medical Monday. Um, With Medical Monday, we always try to cover the topics that we hear people talking about on the board or we're getting emails about. So this topic was aortic stenosis. And the interesting part about this was that men and women can experience in different ways. There's difference goes beyond the anatomy. They're deeply connected to hormones, imaging, and how our heart responds to stress. Whether you're here to learn for yourself, support a loved one, or just out of curiosity, understanding these gender-specific specific nuances can be a game changer in how we approach diagnosis and treatment. So let's break it down and explore the research that the doctors are telling us about. So this is the gender-specific insights into aortic stenosis. And I was going to describe what aortic stenosis is. It's a condition where the heart's aortic valve narrows, restricting the blood flow. Over time, this can lead to symptoms like fatigue, chest pain, shortness of breath. If untreated, it can significantly impact the heart function and life expectancy. So anytime you feel something like that continues, you really do need to contact your doctor. So the key differences, though, between men and women is how the disease develops. In men, it involves heavy calcium buildup, making the valve stiff. So you can get a calcium score through a CAT scan. Women, the condition is more associated with fibrosis or scarring than calcification. The hormone influences are that estrogen acts as a protective shield for premenopausal women, delaying the calcification, but testosterone in men promotes the calcification, leading to faster disease progression in men. Now, of course, this is very tailored to each person because I know myself, I'm on an estrogen blocker for breast cancer. So for me, I don't have that protective shield. So I could never go in and just assume a doctor knows that I'm taking an estrogen blocker. I need to remind my cardiac team of that all the time because I live in breast cancer world and I live in aortic dissection world, and never do the two doctors ever talk. I have to do all that work. Also, a difference is the heart's response. In women, it tends to develop concentric remodeling where the heart walls thicken symmetrically, but in men, they thicken in an uneven fashion, eccentric. And then there's challenges in the diagnosis. Women's valves often appear less calcified on the imaging, which can lead to underdiagnosis. Women can also report more slight symptoms like dizziness or fatigue, making that condition harder to detect without advanced imaging. And dizziness and fatigue also goes along with menopause. So that's why it's really important to have a good relationship with your doctors. The treatment and outcome is also different. There's a better survival rate for women. Women often experience better outcomes after procedures like a transcatheter aortic valve replacement, even though they're at a higher risk for complications such as bleeding and delayed treatment. Unfortunately, women are often referred to treatment later than men. Why does all of this matter? Recognizing these differences can obviously lead to better diagnosis and care by tailoring our imaging criteria for women to better prevent misdiagnosis, and increased awareness about hormonal influences and symptom presentation helps doctors provide more accurate and timely interventions. Understanding these genetic specific differences really can help with effective, equitable, and personal care. So that was Medical Monday. Let's move on to Tuesday. Topic Tuesday.
Hold on, lady.
What? Oh, we
That's
have a
not how we
question or
do
something?
it. We just say hi to our listeners.
Oh, yes.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Christina. Christina's back from the Netherlands. She went
Hi,
out there and
everybody.
she got some dental work done. There was a bunch of adventures that she had. We can't wait to hear further on Thursday.
Wow. Yes, that sounds very interesting. And hi, Tom, also. Topic Tuesday. So uh, we've been having some blog posts about the aortic root. Is the part of the aorta that is the closest to the heart base itself. And it's the part that's more susceptible to the high pressure of the blood pumping out of the heart. So that's where most people have their dissection, right there at the root. When an aneurysm develops in the aortic root, your doctor may either recommend you undergo surgical evaluation or recommend routine imaging with the CAT scan. The decision when to undergo surgery to repair an aortic root aneurysm will depend on several factors, including your age, your past medical history, family history, whether or not you have a connective tissue disorder, and of course, the actual size of that aneurysm. In general, for a healthy adult who has no personal or family history of aortic dissection or connective tissue disorders, the surgery may be recommended once a root aneurysm reaches about 5.5 centimeters, and that's pretty much the standard for the entire aorta. And then they included an article from the Cleveland Clinic, which we trust them. We get a lot of our information from them. But the article basically says that there's two main categories of aortic root surgery: aortic root replacement, which is named after the Dr. Bentel, and valve-sparing aortic root replacement. I know it mostly as the David procedure. I haven't heard it as that other one. The Bentel procedure will replace your entire aortic root, including the aortic valve, depending on your age and risk factor. And your doctor may recommend either a new mechanical aortic valve, which needs blood thinners, or a bioprosthetic valve, which is less durable than the mechanical valve, but will need you to take blood thinners. So when I had my valve replaced, so I know they said this is usually all in one surgery. So I had my dissection. So we repaired the dissection. Then I developed what they call a pseudoaneurysm right at the root. So right between where it comes out of the heart and where my repair started, I ended up with an aneurysm. When they went in, they decided to also replace my valve. And I knew they were going to replace the valve. I wasn't given a choice. A lot of people say that their doctor will give them a choice between the two. I wasn't given a choice. And it does say that with the bioprosthetic valve, which they just call it a tissue valve. Typically, I don't usually see it called that. I usually see it in the literature. When I read articles, it's called a tissue valve. And I'm not on a blood thinner. I've always been on a blood thinner for about 6 months after I've had 3 surgeries. I'm on a blood thinner for 3 months after, but with the tissue valve, I'm not on a blood thinner continuously. So I'm sure it's different for everybody. But the images are always great for us to see because it helps us understand. The valve sparing aortic root replacement includes either the Jacob or the David procedure and involves replacement of the disease aorta while keeping your aortic valve in place. And a lot of times they will do that when you have your emergency dissection surgery. They'll go in, they'll do what they need to do. And from attending some of these conferences, it's common practice, or best practice is what I should say. It's best practice for a surgeon to set you up for a second surgery, knowing down the road most people will have a second surgery. So that apparently is very common practice now, and it's written about a lot in the procedures, and it's talked a lot about in the conferences, the different ways to do that for your next surgery to be even more successful. However, the VSARRs are very technically challenging operations and may not be recommended in numerous situations, such as if your valve is too diseased or preserved. So what I find is they do try to preserve your valve, especially in the dissection emergency surgery, and then they have to go back in later and do that. So there's some pictures there. Of course, while reviewing your surgical options with your medical team, ask questions. Always go with as many questions. Find out what they recommend, why they recommend which type of surgery or valve replacement and why. Ask them about their experience performing these types of surgeries. And as we all know very well, there is no one size fits all with the aorta. So be sure to find a plan that works best for you. I would like to add from personal experience. So I first had breast cancer, and I learned to ask this question during that time, and I've carried it over to cardiac world. And it's been very interesting to me when I sit with a doctor and they recommend a certain procedure, big or little, sometimes even test. And I say to them, are you making this recommendation based on my insurance, what my insurance will pay, or are you basing this on best practice? And I can think of two big times, that the answer was the recommendation was based on what my insurance would pay. And then I had to have a discussion with them of, okay, you need to tell me both, because it should be up to me whether or not I want to pay out of pocket for the better procedure. I also had this experience in the cancer world, with an infusion that I get every 6 months. The insurance would not pay for the one that was better suited for me, unless my doctor jumped through lots of hoops. So I convinced my doctor that he needed to write the letters and he needed to do what needed to be done for me. And I ended up with the better option. So you really do have to advocate for yourself. Any experiences with that with the two people watching?
They're going to be a
No?
little bit on a lag. They'll be
Okay.
behind, but I mean, when they do, I'll bring it up for sure.
Okay. Okay, we'll go to the next one. So Aortic Hope presents 2024 TSMA Aortic Chat. I did this and it's great. These are some medical students, Adam Admend, and Adam is a great, he's a medical student, but he's so easy to talk to. So he has set up all these aorta chats with various people in our community, a lot of different experiences, a lot of different diagnoses. Tim O'Reilly has Marfan syndrome, so he was able to speak about his experience. He also lives in New York City, so he's able to speak about his experience of getting care in a larger city near larger facilities, larger communities. And like somebody like me, I live in Delaware. I travel 2 hours for my care. So these are really, really interesting, and I encourage all of you to listen to the different ones. He does a great job of asking the right questions, not only to tell the story, but the medical aspect, the psychological aspect, how it also affects your family, and what you're expecting in the future. So it's a great project that he has taken on. I think everybody on the board has taken a turn so far. Okay, this one's really dear to my heart. So the Marfan syndrome presents using mindfulness to increase joy and decrease stress. And that's going to take place on December 11th at 5 p.m. And the person presenting this is Tom Besar. Help me say his last name. Bassarier. I have a friend named Bassar, and when I look at his name, that's where I go. But anyway, I think it was like a 15-week course with Tom that we did a virtual course. There was probably 10 people in the class, and I learned so much from the short time, the short 15 weeks. I learned so much about mindfulness. I really felt like mindfulness was having like a blank, like meditation was having blank thoughts, nothing, and it's not at all. That's so far from the truth. I always believed that you have to feel all the feels, but I avoided a lot of them. And I learned so much about myself in the mindfulness group. And the way Tom is very calming, first of all, when just listening to him, he's very knowledgeable. He's a lifelong learner, which makes a huge difference. He didn't just like learn the technique and then teach it to everybody. He really knows how to give you like a whole array of options of what works for you. And I can say it's probably been a year, more than a year that I took that course, and I use the techniques every day. I think the only one that I went in with was I would do the breathing, because I learned really early on that breathing would calm my mind when I was in the moment of being scared. So I realized that I could breathe. I would use my fingers because nobody would notice me, and I'd breathe, you know, and I would do that with my hand in my lap. But that's the only skill I went in with, and I left with so much. So I really, really encourage you. I'm gonna definitely try to make that one. He's wonderful. I guess I should read this part. Living with a chronic illness presents unique challenges that can significantly impact both physical and emotional well-being. And that is so true. I don't think we all realize what the mental health impact on our physical being also. This webinar explores how mindfulness practices can serve as valuable tools for managing the daily stresses and uncertainties that come with chronic health disease. Participants will learn about practical mindfulness techniques that can help cultivate moments of joy, reduce anxiety, and develop a more balanced perspective while navigating their health journey. This session will discuss how incorporating mindfulness into daily routines can enhance overall quality of life, improve stress management, and foster a greater sense of emotional resilience. Whether you're new to mindfulness or looking to deepen your practice, this webinar offers insight for anyone seeking to better cope with the complexities of chronic disease. And you do need to register down there. The other thing I'd like to say about with mindfulness is for myself, Tom presented lots of different techniques, and I kind of picked ones that were working for me at the time. But what I like about going back and listening to any of his presentations is then I start picking up other ones, and I kind of add them to my bag of tools instead of, okay, I learned these 4 things and I use them consistently. With something like mindfulness, you get kind of like you get yourself at, on that bottom platform, and you're ready to go. You get the beginning techniques, but then it's something where you build on them. So I definitely recommend anybody anywhere in their journey to join. Okay, moving on. Aortic Hope Kitchen. This one's going to be on December 4th, so it's next week. And they're great. The best thing about them, well, first of all, they have Mindy and Chef Rob have such a wonderful sense of humor, and it's so fun to watch them. And they're very practical. Everything that they do, you can do, I promise. But these events happen on certain Thursdays of the month, and they're on our YouTube channel. You can go back and watch any of them. But we have some special events coming up for holiday entertaining. Obviously, these are free, but they appreciate donations to help them to allow us to present the series to the community so they can buy the things that they need to do the foods that they're showing here. So there's a place to donate. But the best part about this is at the end, you can, they always put it up that you can print everything that they have already made. So it's great. I highly recommend it. I've made several of their soups seem to be my favorite, the soups. Have you tried any of them, Josh? Have you tried any of the recipes?
I am having trouble putting down the peanut butter cookie recipe. This is a problem for me, right? Like, I love like the quick and easy snack that a cookie presents. But if
Yes.
you wanted to bake cookies, how long does that take, right? With 1 cup of peanut butter, half a cup of sugar, and 1 egg, you can make 10 to a dozen cookies, right? And it's
Yes.
10 minutes in the oven and you have cookies, right?
I
And
did
it's
I
so
did
terrible.
I did that with my grandkids. And it was fun. So, and easy. Okay. So then the next one is going to be December 18th, just in time. I don't think does it give it here? Oh, it's going to be the New Year's Day brunch. Oh, that's perfect. I have all my family here at my house, New Year's, and we always do a brunch. So there we go. It doesn't give us the exact, foods that they're going to be showing us, but it will be a brunch. I'm sure it's wonderful. And it's always practical and it's always things that you can actually do. So, okay, our aortic dissection, the patient guide, is now available in a video audible format. So if you'd like to listen or watch that video, we have a link for you. Every section from parts A, B, and C have been broken down into easy understanding recordings. This is great for anybody that, if you're trying to explain to a family member over Thanksgiving what actually happened to you, send them these videos. They're more likely to watch it than if you give them the book. So yeah, if you're trying to explain your aortic dissection, or if you're in a wait and see kind of mode and you're trying and your family just doesn't understand, this is a great resource for you. But we are trying to get all of these out. You can download the guide also, but you can also have order a hard copy. And every time you go to your doctors, please tell them about it. We're really trying to get these books into the hands of our patients. And we want to do that through the doctor's office. But again, the visual auditory is also available. I haven't listened to it yet. Whose voice is it, Josh? Is it Karen?
Oh, it is Karen. She did a great job.
I'm sure she does.
Yeah. I mean, she had some words that tripped her up or what have you. But
Well,
I
I
mean,
hope you need to, we need to have a blooper reel.
she didn't make
That
that
would be,
many mistakes.
okay.
They were
Oh, darn.
There's the one for colloquially. She can't say that word. It ruins her. It's hilarious.
Well,
Um, but
I
what was
could never
funny?
say that's, I could never say abdomen until I um, had abdominal, I have an abdominal aneurysm, so I had to learn to say the word abdomen. I could never say it without laughing. So,
What I thought was funny was, like, I'm asking her to do the same thing that we're doing here, right? And in her head, she was doing something differently. So we get like 4 or 5 pages in, and she goes, "This is just like week in review," and I go, "Yeah."
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but that's why we always look at them ahead of time, because of some of those words that come up, or the names of people who wrote a journal article. Those are the ones that trip me up the most. So, last names. Okay, Feel Good Friday. So on Feel Good Friday, we started talking about Thanksgiving. Everybody's thinking about Thanksgiving. And the big question is, Thanksgiving, do you have pumpkin pie or pecan pie or pecan pie? So there you go, talking about how to pronounce things. I'm a pecan pie person, pecan. And I make the pecan pie for our family. My mother makes the pumpkin pie. And in my family, well, for me, I have a sliver of each one. And then whatever's finished with the pecan pie that I made, even though, no, we keep it for the next day because my family all comes back for leftovers at my mom's house. So we always make 2 days worth of food. But whatever is left of the pecan pie at the end of the second day goes home with my brother-in-law and he claims it. So he's always trying to hide it so nobody will eat any more of it. But so are you the pecan pie or are you a pumpkin pie?
Oh, I prefer the pecan pie. It's crunchy. I love crunchy.
Well, every
Yeah.
once in a while, I will try to change it up and do like pecan squares or something like that. And then I get a look from him like, really? And he sits next, we've always sat in the same place at my mom's dining room table, and he sits right next to me. And he's merciful when he finds out that I changed the pecan pie into pecan bars or pecan brownies or whatever the things that I've done over the years. So I have to, and we call him Shrek because his shoulders are like this big. He's a huge guy. And but he likes me because the first time he came to dinner years and years ago, the first time he came to dinner for the family, to meet the family, he sat next to me and he didn't know which fork, which knife. He didn't understand why I had a wine glass and a water glass and they looked the same. And so I had to keep whispering to him what to use, and I got him out of that predicament. So then I've been his favorite sister-in-law, only sister-in-law, but I've been his favorite ever since. So, okay, so pumpkin pie, the classic creamy with a hint of spice, a slice of this comfort food is like a warm hug in a pie form. I do like warm, pumpkin pie. And then the pecan pie, sweet, nutty, and oh so decadent. This pie's crunchy topping and rich filling make it a dessert worth savoring bite by bite. Now, would you be upset if you were expecting a pecan pie and you got pecan bars instead?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
It'd be easier to eat, and there would be less plates and forks and whatnot to clean up. You know.
Well, I found a recipe for this was like a pecan bourbon chocolate brownie thing. And I bought everything I need to make it, and I'm wrestling. I don't know. I don't know if I'll upset him. So I might make two things. I might make the pecan pie and the pecan bars, pecan bourbon bars. So we'll see what happens.
That sounds delicious.
Okay. So oh, this is the Survivor series. And I did listen to this one. This is Joyce Karambat. Karambat? Did I say it right, Josh?
You
Kara
know, I didn't
Karambat.
ask for the pronunciation.
She said her
Yeah.
whole name when I watched it. So, of course, our Survivor series is just wonderful. It's kind of like the ground root of what we do. But when I listened to Joyce, she did a really good job of describing almost minute by minute of what happened to her when she realized what getting the diagnosis in the hospital and going into the CT scan, minute by minute of what happened, which always amazes me because I'm in the different camp. I disassociated, so in my mind we had a whole party. I didn't know anything that was going on, and I can't remember. I can only remember like four things. So when people can describe minute by minute, second by second, what happened to them, I'm always amazed because I'm like, I figured that's probably what happened to me too. She did a really good job. I think she's 3 years out. She did a really good job of explaining how her PTSD came into play when she recognized it. And she also did a really good job of describing how she was taking a medication that was causing her problems and how she had to advocate for herself and do she had to keep track of what was happening to her body and then be able to express that in a way that her doctor would listen to her, and the medication was changed and things have been much better for her. But yes, she's 3 years out, so she's early, she's still learning. um, And we always appreciate anybody that will share their story, because even somebody like me, I'm like 6 years out now, I'm still interested in what happens to people and how they're dealing with it, especially the emotional part of it. So she was great. Take a listen to hers. And then back to the aorta chats, we also had Terry Cook. So Terry Cook is, she did the chat with Adam, and her story is fascinating too. And she just dove right in after her. She had one dissection years ago, thought she was clear, thought it was just a fluke, nothing would happen again. Then had a dissection, and so her story is a little bit different, just like everybody has a little twist and turns. But poor Terry, she lived close to Karen and I, and she just jumped right in, right onto the board. And she's in deep. We use her for everything. She's a wonderful person. She does most of our fundraising. So anything that you see that comes out with fundraising for those like the Friday fundraisers, the local things that we do here in Maryland, like, well, I say here in Maryland, I'm in Delaware, but in Maryland, like the drag show bingos. I know they're right now, if you're passing through Maryland at all, or even Delaware, please contact me. Right now, our fundraiser is, we are collecting anything that you would take to a thrift shop, a secondhand shop. So it could be any home goods, clothing, it can be electronics, cookware, anything. And I think it's through January 15th. I'm not sure. We double check the date, but I know continues into January. So if you're anywhere in Maryland or Delaware, anywhere in between, I would stop and pick it up. But the fundraiser that we're using will pay us per pound of items that we turn into them. And it's different, like the clothes are worth, I don't know, like 12 cents a pound, and the cooking items are worth another price. But yeah, if you're anywhere in the area, you can really help Terry Cook out with our latest fundraiser. I'm easy to find. Right now I'm in Facebook jail, but I am on Facebook.
Hold on. You can't blaze past that.
I know.
How
I
did you
love
get in Facebook jail?
it's kind of funny being the bad girl, because I'm never the bad girl, you know. I follow that straight and narrow. Okay, so a couple years ago, my husband with his Facebook page got hacked, and they were still selling Bitcoin or whatever. They took over his whole page. We tried to shut it down. We couldn't delete it, so he just made a whole new page. So this past week, somebody's posting pictures of girls in like bikinis and stuff. It's just weird. So everybody started contact us, and we're like, okay, we know about that page. And so I put on Facebook, I tagged my husband on his original, on his new page that's not new, it's a couple years old, and put a picture of his old page instead. Please block this page and please report it. We have not had any success in Facebook helping us to delete this page. Well, they didn't like that.
No,
So I'm in
they did not
Facebook
like
jail.
that at all.
I'm in Facebook jail. Anyway, next thing I would like to ramp it up a little bit, like if that's what really got me in jail. But yeah, seriously, anybody can, you can find me if you just look on the top. My personal page is Tammy Demaro Warner, but you can find me on any of the Aortic Hope pages. So there you go. And just message me and I'd be happy to pick your stuff up. Okay, share with you Sunday. I could talk for hours about medical trauma. Medical trauma experienced as a result of medical procedures, illnesses, and hospital stays can have lasting effects. That is like a huge statement. According to Pain Scale, in an article titled "What to Do When Medical Trauma Interferes with Current Medical Care," the author shares the following. Medical trauma is an emotional response to a serious, or I would say a series of events involving medical care. For example, medical trauma can develop after an unpleasant, painful procedure or hospitalization in the intensive care unit. Medical trauma can also occur when an error is made, such as when the wrong medication is prescribed or when a surgical mistake leads to a complication. I think it happens more with routine things than mistakes, although they do happen. I'm not making light of that at all. Sometimes experiencing medical trauma or PTSD from a medically related event or events can be especially problematic because it can make us not want to go back for a follow-up, not trusting medications, or even not agree to a procedure. Here's an overview of 6 steps to take when trauma interferes with your care. Consider appointment times, involve a family member or friend, be honest with your medical team. That is really important. Try breathing or relaxing techniques. I use this breathe in and out. Be willing to ask for help. There's a variety of therapeutic methods, such as EMDR. Seek a new doctor if necessary. Raise your hand if you've changed doctors. That would be me. I started interviewing doctors. And then they just do give more information down there. And Josh, you'll have to cut me off, but I will talk a little bit about medical trauma. I don't think you can enter the world of aortic disease and not have somewhere on the scale some type of medical trauma. I think one of the things that makes it a little bit different is like with my breast cancer, I had signs. I kind of knew, like, it was confirmed that I had breast cancer. If you go to the doctors with a sore throat, you can confirm that you have strep throat. Your eyesight might start going bad. You might be diagnosed with a disease because you've been having problems with your kidneys or stomach problems. But with aortic dissection, it's like, bam, it's like a lightning bolt. Like you didn't see it coming at all, unless you had what we're working on now is unless you're one of those people that you are part of an aortic family, an aortic disease family, and just like my girls who are being checked every 5 years, I think it'll still be traumatic because they've seen what I've gone through and they'll think, oh gosh, this is going to be my future. But I feel like aortic disease, even in the wait and see, when somebody comes in and says that you have an aneurysm, like that's not on your radar at all. And it just happens in a different way. And then the way you experience it is very different across the board with all aortic disease people. I know Karen, if she's driving and we hear a helicopter, like she pulls over. She cannot listen to a helicopter go, the helicopter sound. She can't smell, the smell of alcohol sends her off. And she just shuts down. For me, because I don't remember anything, I dissected. I remember going into the CAT scan. I remember a nun sitting with me, talking to me about, did I want a priest with last rites and things, and I don't remember my answers. I remember them holding up my underwear before I went into surgery and asked me what to do with it. And I was like, I don't know, I'm probably going to die, just throw them away. Because my family had already taken all my stuff. So that's like the 3 things that I remember. And that's it. I remember waking up with the tube down my throat in recovery or the couple days later. But so my trauma is not anything that I heard or saw, because my mind just took me away. My trauma is the fear of what's going to happen next. Every time I go to the doctor, it's something that I never heard of, something new. So that's my PTSD. The 2 people that are listening, have you experienced on some level the medical trauma? We need a
Yeah,
few
they're gonna
minutes
be a
for it.
bit on delay. Yeah. um, I I hear what you're saying though, the lightning bolt situation, and what we have in the support groups is very interesting. We see people that are in the watch and wait situation, and like on one hand, hearing the stories of survivors from an emergency perspective is a shocking thing for them. And on the other hand, it's like you said, there's no, like, either you know about it or you don't know about it and it's catastrophic, right? And
Right.
so they're sitting on that fence of it's a blessing and a curse.
It is. I am sure. I know I've kind of experienced a little bit of both because I was supposed to have an abdominal aortic repair a couple Tuesdays ago, had some weird virus, and we had to cancel it. Um, and now I'm worried, like, if I sneeze too hard, is that going to be the end of me, kind of thing. So with that, I just try to follow the rules and do what I'm supposed to do, take my medicine, um, and try to get to that next surgery. So, but I think that I think with the medical trauma, I think it's one of the things that we do best with our support groups is a safe place to talk about it and a safe place to validate it. Um, Also, a safe place for people to explain what they've tried as far as techniques or ways to stay calm or to address that always being hyper vigilant that something's going to happen. I think it's one of the things we do best is our support groups providing a safe place with good information, solid information, and the willingness of people to share is great. So, okay. Here's our upcoming events. So today we had the week in review with me. Tomorrow with Dr. Prakash. Prakash is our Ask a Doctor. You can start now sending in your questions, or you can wait until the live on the Facebook channel, and you can type your questions in. But wait a minute, am I saying that wrong, Josh? Are we still doing it on the
So
Facebook page? It's always
yeah, I'll
on.
I'll, I'll take it. So with the Ask a Doctor with Dr. Prakash, he generously provides a giant chunk of his evening on that'll be the 26th. And at 6:30, a post will show up on the Facebook Aortic page, and you can put your questions in there, and he'll pay attention to that thread for the evening. For the first hour, we'll have Karen and Terry on YouTube talking about the different questions that are being published, gathering any questions that we can find from YouTube
Okay.
and getting
I
them
knew the
in there to
format
him.
changed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we'll also have, we're when I first got started, years ago, I was like, an anonymous question would be a big help. Some people, because you're authenticated into Facebook, like some people don't want their name associated with a question, just the
Right.
way it is, right? And so we'll have an anonymous question link ready to go. That'll also get published up there to Tuesday at 6:30. You'll see that it'll be right in the description. It'll be in the chat area for the chat itself. And what happens is Karen will take those questions in and she will ask on behalf of anybody into the thread, and then Dr. Prakash will answer it. But we're only going to be there for the first hour. After the first hour, the rest of the event stays on Facebook.
On Facebook, the
Yeah.
Facebook platform. Okay, thanks for explaining that. I knew the format was a little bit different, but like I said, I'm 6 years into this and been able to go to some conferences, those kinds of things. And I'm always still learning from the questions that the boots on the ground people are asking. So yeah, I always like seeing those questions. And then talking about the support groups that we run Wednesday, the 27th at 7 o'clock. We have our virtual support group. And if you register once, you'll get the invitation each time they come up. And then the live therapeutic Thursdays with John Quick. I'm hearing wonderful things about that. I would love to. I keep saying I'm going to join that one. I need some therapeutic Thursday. And I've talked to John Quick over the years, and he's wonderful. He reminds me a lot of Tom. He's very calming to talk to. And then our aorta hangout on Thursdays, Thursday the 28th, with Rob and Mindy. So they're still doing that on Thursday, right, at 2?
Yeah, that's still there, going strong.
Okay, so even on Thanksgiving, they're going to do that.
Well, we have people in Canada that are not celebrating
Right.
Thanksgiving. We
I
have
know
people that join us from Europe.
all over the
Yeah,
world. I
yeah.
know. What a great way to connect with international people, make friends with people all over the world.
So hold on. So to date, one of the most amazing things that has happened. There's a lady named Katrina out of Ireland, and one of her concerns post her dissection was she was worried that she wasn't going to have the energy to stand up and sing in the church choir. Okay. And so for months and months and months were going by before she could do it, and she didn't get the energy up to it. And finally she gets out there and she's like, now I can sing, but oh my goodness. She's like, getting up to the church, it never registered that how high the hill is that I have to walk up, and I'm so out of breath. And she's being very cute and sweet about everything. But months after that she brought us to the choir. Okay. So she dials back in and she's in the concert hall, and they sing Girls Just Want to Have Fun. And when you think about like a church choir, I don't know, my mind, there's like, 12 people in the choir,
Yeah, I
singing
would think.
wonderfully. 30 something people in an auditorium are singing to us. It was amazing. It was so cool. Right.
That's fun.
And yeah. And so speaking of Katrina again, because the international thing. So another fun thing that she did was Molly, our very own Molly. She's a personal assistant for somebody that she's been helping. It's an older lady. She just does anything she can: dry cleaning,
Right.
shopping, goes to Costco, gets everything on the list, gets her oil changed for her, does all the car maintenance. Like she does that as well as being a flight attendant. And so she's doing a Costco run. And Katrina is like, "Oh, you're taking us to Costco?" It
so
was
funny.
adorable.
That's funny. Oh my gosh. I have heard some hilarious things about the hangout. So,
Great place to be. It's so much fun.
okay. And then we have Kevin Songer on Sunday the 1st. Say the word for me. What does Kevin Song?
Qigong. You got me
Qigong.
laughing.
I know. Qigong. Okay. That talk about calming, that is very calming. He posts things on Facebook all the time. And then Molly's going to do our week in the review on Monday the 2nd at 3:00.
Okay, that's the week.
We have our
We're
Spanish
good
group
there.
on Monday.
We only have to go into the week that we're doing this week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So we
yeah,
don't
yeah.
have to do
Molly
all the
did
way
this
through
too.
December.
She went all the way. I was like, okay, well, because next week we're going to talk about the following week coming
Was
up.
there anything that's a big difference in? Yeah, so the 11th is not routine. So that's that morphine. And do you have to register for that one, we said?
That's the one with the link. Yep.
Yeah, so go register for that one. And if you need to register for it, just go here to our events. But that looks like the only one that's out of the routine that I want to make sure people register for.
And that's,
I'm going to have to go.
probably for now. I'm sure something will crop up.
So we have some other things coming up. Yes.
I have a live scheduled for the 7th, and we're going to start. We did something. So he filled out a form, and I'm trying to streamline because my workload has kind of increased, and I'm like, I don't have available time to go back and forth, even with a scheduling thing. Like, I don't have that kind of time, right? So now there's this booking page, and people can click a link. They kind of follow the instructions, and then they can choose when they're most available for recordings. And so, he schedules this recording, and I meet him, and I'm like, oh, it's fun to meet you. And he's like, so how do we do the recording? Because I already made a recording.
Oh,
And I was like, oh, well, yeah, I can totally get that from you, and we can work with that. And he's like, or what about live? He's like, I wouldn't mind going live. And so I was like, well, here's the thing. And so I dressed down why live is better. And he's like, okay, let's
mhm.
go live. And I go, well, while I have you, right? This is just kind of a happy accident. I'm like, while I have you, would you mind recording a promo video?
Oh,
Right? So now he does a small introduction, and then he says, you can come see my show on December 7th. So he'll
I
be
love
live.
it.
Yeah, I know. It was such a happy accident, right? And so I told Molly, director of social media, I was like, check this out. Happy accident. And then Molly's like, I love this idea. I think this is great. We run it up to Karen. Karen's like, oh my God, this is genius. She's like, we should get everybody to do this. And I'm like, kind of. If you're going to go
Josh and
live,
his
kind of.
ideas.
It was just a happy accident. But it's all because he was already ready to go. He already had a recording. He was ready to tell his story anyway. And he just had the
That's
question of live. Yeah.
that's great.
And
I'm
so
glad.
we're gonna run that promotion on Monday for the week, right? So if we can get somebody that's gonna go live, and we want like 2 weeks so we can kind of get everything situated, get all the promotional material ready to go, and
Right.
try to get more attendance for the live shows. But it's powerful. It's powerful at the end of the storytelling, to get feedback, to have questions, to hear some of the
Yes.
responses. It's validating the whole way through.
Yeah.
But I mean, for those of you that haven't done this, it's a thing. I turn my camera off. You do not see me. You will not react to what I'm reacting to at all. You are telling a story without interruption. Okay, and so it just
Yeah.
sounds so much better than an interview in my mind, because in an interview it's very stop go stop go stop
Well, when
go.
I just watched Joan, it flowed very well. It was very easy to listen to. So no, that's great. I'm really anxious to see what our numbers look like this year, because that's one of the areas that we grew the most in last year was our like our social media, the number of people that we're reaching through YouTube, through the different social media platforms, which is wonderful because that's the whole purpose, is to reach as many people as possible and make a difference for them. Um, and for them to make a difference in the lives of the other people in our community. So I can't wait to see those numbers, what they look like this year.
Oh,
So
we eclipsed the YouTube views and everything, like in June. Like we went farther than 2023 by June.
good,
Yeah,
good. Wow.
yeah,
Now
it's
I really
incredible.
can't wait. So, okay, I have one more click here, but I think it's the
No, no,
same.
no,
It's
we're
a,
done. We're done. You're
oh,
gonna
it's
tell these
it's the
people.
November. It went all the way into November.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Josh, thank you as always. Thank you to the people that are listening. Thank you to the people who click on us later down the road and listen to us. I am wishing everybody a very happy Thanksgiving. I definitely consider all the people in this community as one of my blessings. So happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Bye-bye.